All right, folks. So good afternoon. Welcome to the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. My name is John. Everyone. All right, it's time for our rocket yard tour. If you'd like to join us, it's going to be a free 15 to 20 minute walking tour of our rocket yard. We'll play out these rockets, what they do, some of the history behind them. Sound good? All right, so follow up. We're going to head towards the back of the garden, towards the rocket that we need outside. Now, to give you the setting of the time period that we're about to talk about, this is the Cold War. We have the United States versus the Soviet Union, communism versus democracy. And there's always this constant threat of nuclear war. Now I know what you guys are thinking. John, you must be crazy. Were you any of these rockets have to deal with that kind of stuff? Well, believe it or not, the except for the one rocket laying down the back called the Saturn V, all of these originally started off as intercontinental ballistic missiles. Which basically means we put on top and we put a person on its head. So this brings us to our first rocket right here, the one with the big UE on the side. Now this one's called a Juno rocket, or back during the ballistic missile days, this was called a Jupiter C. Now this is the same type of rocket America used to send our very first satellite into space. It was called Explorer 1. Now if you look towards the top of the rocket, see that big white canister with flat line coming down the side? That is where Explorer 1 would have sat on this rocket as it was headed into space. Now, Explorer 1, that's America's first satellite, because it wasn't the world's first satellite. Any chance you remember the name of that first satellite to go up way back in 1957?
Yuri Gagarin?
Sputnik, exactly. Sputnik sent up by the Soviet Union. Now, when America would go to send stuff up, we'd make a big deal about it, right? Hey guys, go America, look what we can do. Soviets did things a little bit differently. It was like, hey guys, look what we did last night. That's essentially what happened with Sputnik. Now Sputnik was this metal ball, went around the Earth about 95 minutes in orbit, and it beeped, and it beeped, and it scared everyone. So why was Sputnik so scary? Well, this is the world's first satellite. No one had any idea what this thing could do. Was it a missile platform to shoot stuff at us? Was it a spy satellite to watch us? No, it just beeped, and we didn't know that. So eventually we'd have to counter with Explorer 1. Now Explorer 1 did more than beep and scare people. It actually served a purpose. It was a scientific satellite. We have this thing called a Geiger counter on board. Now, Geiger counters are used to measure radiation in the air. See, there was this professor from the University of Iowa by the name of Dr. James Van Allen, who had this idea that there were bands of radiation and even a magnetic field that surrounded the Earth. So he put the Geiger counter along with some other instruments into Explorer 1, sent it into space, and turns out he was right. There's actually bands of radiation that surround the Earth. Now, folks, in my opinion, do you know what the best part about being a scientist is? Naming whatever you find after yourself. So if you go home and look up the James Van Allen radiation belts, they'll tell you all about those bands of radiation, tell you all about Explorer 1. So now we'll move on to our next rocket, this white one off to your right with the black NASA on the side. Now, in early days of NASA, we could get the rockets off the ground. We just weren't the best at naming them or aiming them. So this is Juno. This brings us to Juno 2. Now, Juno 2 is the first rocket reason to try and go somewhere. And where are we headed? Well, folks, we're actually headed out towards the moon. No, this is not a moon rocket. This is the same type of rocket. It was one of the pioneer probes. Now, the idea was we're going to launch this rocket, we're going to send it out towards the moon, we will crash land that probe on the surface, but we will take pictures all the way in. So we can get those really good close pictures of the moon for the very first time. And it sounds like a great idea, right? Yeah, until we missed. By about 37,000 miles. Yeah, it wasn't really too close, but I'm an optimist. Let's look at things this way. The moon's about 250,000 miles away, around 239,000. We only missed by like 35,000. We would send 12 people to walk on the moon, we would send plenty of other probes, so let's just call this one close enough for the first try. Right, close enough. Alright, so let's turn our attention to this white one in the middle, the 19 on the side. This is called a Thor Able or a Thor Delta rocket. This is the same type of rocket that America used to send our very first communication satellites into space. We had Echo 1 and Telstar. Now Echo 1 was a big inflatable ball about the size of a house. Bounce signals off, they would come back down. Pretty simple. Telstar was the real game changer. Telstar gave us an ability to have a live broadcast between North America and Europe for the very first time. Did y'all watch the Olympics last month? I think you watched 5 sports in real time, not just in a different country, but on a completely different continent. And that's all thanks to Telstar. All right, folks, you can stay right here. I'm going to move over to our Heroes and Legends, talk about those hockey. Now, the three we just talked about are unmanned satellites, drones, things like that. These two we're about to talk about is the Mercury program, getting Americans into space for the very first time. Now, the first rocket we'll talk about is the red United States on the side. That was called a Mercury Redstone rocket. That's the same type of rocket that Alan Shepard used to become the first American to go into space. Went about 150 miles into the sky, made it downrange 300 miles into the Bahamas. Its hired first flight of American space lasted only 15 minutes. That's it. Then just 20 days later, on an FDA stage, we will go to the moon. We will go to the moon and bring them back safely by the end of the decade. Now here we are thinking, we've got the Bahamas, right? Now this president wants to travel almost a quarter of a million miles to the moon, put a person on the surface and bring them back safely in under 9 years. So eventually we will wrap up what's called 7 days, 1 giant leap to mankind. We still have a lot to talk about, a lot to accomplish before we can get there. So the next rocket we'll talk about is the silver one to the left of the redstone. That one's called a Mercury Atlas rocket. That's the same type that John Glenn used to become the first American to orbit the Earth. Runs for about 5 hours total, did 3 orbits around the Earth. It did what I consider to be one of the most important experiments NASA has ever done in space. It was called the Applesauce experiment. You guys heard of that one before? The Applesauce experiment? Alright, John Glenn is sitting in the Capitol. Gets a call from Mission Control. They say, John, take out that tube of applesauce. Now eat it. That's it. So why is it so important? Well, folks, thinking till this point, we had never really tried anything in space. We had never tried working in space. We had never tried eating in space. The only experience we had in space was being in space. Now, a lot of scientists and doctors fear that humans might be like birds. You ever see a bird try to swallow something? These shoot over their head back and gravity actually helps them swallow. But by heating that tube of applesauce in orbit, we were able to prove that humans could swallow without the use of gravity. That would pave our way for us to go to the moon. So look at that, a tube of applesauce changing everything. Alright guys, so we're going to head over towards that silver, white, black rocket, talk about the Gemini program. That's called the Hudson. Now, two rockets we just talked about, Mercury, getting Americans in space for the very first time. And of course, we all know Apollo, right? Sending 3 men out to the moon. Well, what's the Gemini program? Well, it's basically everything in between, everything that you can learn to go out to the moon. Alright, now the first person I'd like to talk about is Ed White, first American to do a spacewalk. Imagine sitting in there trying to get the call from Mission Control. They said, Ed, make sure that helmet's tight. You're going to open the hatch, there's no air in the capsule, you're going to float out and look down on all 6 billion people below you. Now, it's not like modern day with those big backpacks of air, like with Space Shuttle or the International Space Station. All it is you, your tiny capsule, and a small umbilical air hose. That's it. Now let's talk about Gemini 7, our first long-duration space flight. Imagine spending 14 days, 2 weeks with your best friend down the couch. Y'all have to eat together. You have to sleep together. All the fun things associated with eating together. By the way, guys, disposable diapers. That was awesome. But in my opinion, the most amazing part about Gemini 7 is the fact that Frank Borman and Jim Lovell actually came back as friends and even flew in space together again. The reason I say that, I love my brother, I really do. But if I spent 2 weeks in that capsule with him, we might have America's second spacewalk, and the chance I could come back an only child. So, that's how that goes. Now let's talk about Gemini 8. It's the first time we ever had to make an emergency landing in space. Now, we all know Apollo 13, right? The successful failure. Not many people talk about Gemini 8. We sent up our big Gemini Type 2 rocket. We sent up the big silver one as well, called the Agena Atlas. Got the Agena part on top, unmanned, no people. We use it to practice docking while we're in space. Think if we're going to the moon, right? We have our lunar lander. We need to dock and go up and down from the surface. And of course, if you're trying something for the very first time, it's a little too dangerous to send up two crews. So we send up the command, Gemini Type 2, the unmanned to do that. Both go up, they go to dock, and actually start spinning out of control. The commander on board realizes something is wrong. He detaches from the Agena, hoping it will help. It doesn't. It actually makes him spin faster. Imagine sitting in that tiny capsule knowing no one is coming to save you. You're spinning it over 1 revolution per second on more than 1 axis. Luckily, the commander on board by the name of Neil Armstrong, you may have heard of him before. He realized the thruster stuck on somewhere in the back. He was able to stabilize the capsule. We made our very first emergency landing in space. Now think of the 3 things I just touched on. The first spacewalk, an awesome camping trip, and of course, our emergency landing. Think how important all 3 of those will be to send us out towards the moon. Alright, folks, so we're going to head back towards the Saturn 1B, laying down the back of the rocket garden, talk about Apollo, and I'll get you guys out of here. Follow me. Hello, Sean, is this a moon rocket? Well, guess what, guys? It's not. But don't worry, we do have a weird visitor complex to share with you. Saturn 1B laying down the rocket garden. It's only about 2/3 the size of the rocket that's up the moon.
Yeah, I did not speak.
Now, the very first time we'd ever used one of these Saturn 1Bs was sadly Apollo 1, the first time we'd ever lost astronauts. January 1967, we're doing what's called a plugs-out test. Get the capsule, flip the switches, make sure everything works. Now, one of the problems with the early space capsules, they would hold an oxygen atmosphere of around 90 to 100%. Which means on the spark if something might go wrong. That's exactly what happened. The spark in the capsule, they couldn't open the hatch. We lost those first 3 astronauts. Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee. Now that was almost the end of the story. In fact, we almost did not go to the moon because of this. Think if we lost 3 men on a pad during a test, how are we supposed to get them off the surface of the Earth to the moon almost 250,000 miles away to bring everyone back safely? Well, before he had passed, Gus Grissom made NASA promise that if anything ever happened to him, we would not stop. Because he understood the importance of the space program. Not towards politics, the space race, beating the Soviets to the moon, but making life better here on Earth. And real quick, folks, do me a favor, take a look at that big gray engine in the middle of the car. That was called the F1 engine. The most powerful electric rocket man has ever made. 5 of them thrust back to the Saturn V and the rocket to the moon. Together, they would give off around 7.5 million pounds of thrust. That's enough power to shake the windows in downtown Orlando over 50 miles or 80 kilometers away from here. One of those engines is about the same amount of power as an entire SpaceX rocket. Now there's a fuel pump in this rocket engine that's been scaled down or remodified, and we actually use them in artificial human hearts. So that means a fuel pump to help get us to the moon is putting someone to test on keeping them alive while they're awaiting a heart transplant. And that just shows Gus Grissom was right. It's not about politics. It's not about beating the Soviets to the moon. It's always been about making things better here on Earth. Now, over a year and 1,300 changes to that capsule, we're ready to fly again. We skimmed Apollo 2 and 3, go on to 4 and 5. Those run man test flights, those go well. Eventually, here comes Apollo 8. We graduate to the big Saturn V rocket, and even go out for the moon for the very first time. We did not land on the surface, but we need to figure it around and get back. Then, of course, July 1969, we finally had that one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Now, the next time we would use a Saturn 1B was during Skylab. Now, America's first space station was built out of the 3rd stage of a big Saturn V rocket. We would use the smaller Saturn 1B just to go up and down on the surface. Now, the final time we used it was arguably the most important, the Apollo-Soyuz test project. Now, some of you may remember when I started my tour in America versus Soviets, communism versus democracy. 1975, for the very first time, an American Apollo capsule and a Russian Soyuz capsule actually docked together in space in that very first international handshake in space, eventually paving the way to the International Space Station with 15 countries on board since the year 2000. Now, there's always a lot of children around, so I'd like to leave people with this thought. All those children born after the year 2000 have never went a day in their life without living in space. Because every day for the last 17 had people permanently living on board the space station, working around the clock to make life better here on Earth. Now, before I let you go, a few other things to make your day better while you're here, especially if you're just joining us. Now, I did say we have a real Saturn V rocket. Where do I find that? Over at the Apollo Saturn V Center. Now, sadly, the only way to get there, you have to take some sort of bus tour. But don't worry, at the very least, there's a free bus tour included in all of your tickets. It takes about 45 minutes, and we'll bring you out by the launch pad. When you're done with that bus tour, that's going to bring you to the Saturn V Center to go see that real Saturn V rocket, go touch a real moon rock, see a real lunar lander, capsule, spacesuits, the original Astro band, and each and every one of you can walk across the same swing arm that Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins walked across to get the capsule for Apollo 11. When you're done inside that building, any bus will bring you back. It drops you off right next to Atlantis. Now inside there is the actual Space Shuttle Orbiter Atlantis. Went to space 33 times, including the final shuttle flight, STS-135. The reason I say this, we are the only place in the entire world with a Saturn V moon rocket and a Space Shuttle Orbiter. You need to see them both while you're here today. So if you're looking for that bus tour, head straight towards the back of the park. See a big sign that says bus tours. They leave every 10 to 15 minutes. The last one leaves today at 4:30. All right, folks, now let's begin to march more. If you guys have any questions, I'll be around for a few more minutes. I thank all of you for joining us. Once again, my name is John. Have a great rest of your day.